XXFM.
This is Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.
Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth. Welcoming back friend to the program. She is, what is your title over there, Christine? I'm sorry.
Well, I like to go by CEO.
Oh, she is the CEO of Rebuilding Together Houston. The lovely Christine Holland is back on the program. So good to see you. We have so much to talk about because so much has happened, just within the last week.
Yes, it's been a busy time in the Houston affordable housing world.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
First, before we get into Imelda and all of that, let's talk about Second Ward. You were telling me off air about, the revitalization efforts that are going on over there, and just explain to the listening audience what we were just talking about off air.
Sure. So Rebuilding Together Houston, we are one of the leading nonprofit home repair organizations across Houston and Harris County. What we specialize in is single-family affordable housing repair. And we make these repairs at no cost to the homeowner. We've been doing it for 37 years. And in our work, we partner with a lot of community stakeholders, leaders in the community, faith organizations, small businesses, anybody in the neighborhoods who's interested in what's going on in their neighborhood and how to make neighborhoods stronger. So in the Second Ward, we have launched a housing preservation community revitalization project. Second Ward is one of Houston's original 4 neighborhoods. It's 74% Hispanic. During the 20s and 50s, the area really became more Hispanic as there was de facto segregation in Houston. There were other parts of the city where these families were not welcome. They were welcome in the Second Ward, and they settled there in great numbers and became a community. What's interesting is that many of the houses that people live in that neighborhood are at least 50 years old. And some of these families can trace their families back to these original Hispanic families that settled in the neighborhood.
That's fascinating.
At Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, I was speaking with them this morning. They say the same of their congregation, of their church members, that many generations of the same family attend that church. Some of them don't even live in the neighborhood anymore, but they still have that sense of community. And we're hoping that they and other leaders in the community are going to join us to bring volunteers, to help homeowners sign up with us. We're hoping to do 100 home repairs at no charge to qualified homeowners over the next over the next 5 years. And we're raising $2.5 million to do that. We already have some very good sponsorships, but we need the help of your listeners. We need the help of everyone in Houston who believes in preserving the character of a neighborhood, who believes in allowing families to age in place and stay together.
I love that that is you all's mission, because it's very important, because a lot of these neighborhoods, they're trying to push them out, buy them out, to re-gentrify, and just that family.
You're exactly right.
Just that foundation of family where it was originally started is being pushed away.
Well, and you can't stop gentrification, and we're not trying to stop gentrification.
Right.
What we're trying to do is look at the houses in the community that are worth saving, and the people that want to stay in them, and let that happen. I think the most interesting neighborhoods are ones where people of different ethnicities and different ages all live together. It makes our lives richer.
Yes, indeed.
And so that's what we're trying to do. We actually have a terrific landing page set up on our website. You can check out everything that's going on, what kind of repairs we're doing, how you can volunteer, how you can donate. rebuildinghouston.org/Second Ward.
Okay.
And it has everything that anyone might want to know about what's going on over there. And as I said, we'll be doing these 100 houses over the next 5 years.
Christine, I love that you all are so committed to that. Very important. And really, if I can be honest, I have a lot of people on the show that come through. I'm very in tune and in tapped in the Houston community, in the different neighborhoods. And Rebuilding Together Houston, you all are the only ones that I know of that has been this committed to keeping the neighborhood and try to revitalize the homes, as they are for people to live a better life.
Well, that's a very perceptive comment, because when we're not in time of disaster, just day in, day out, year in, year out, we are the only organization whose primary mission is home repair. We've got a lot of great partners that are out there building new affordable housing, and that is seriously important work and greatly needed. But we have a part to play in this too, and it's going to take all of us to make more Houston neighborhoods what I was talking about, that mix of new and traditional and different types of people all living together and living a wonderful life.
Yeah. You're listening to Access Houston. We're talking to the CEO of Rebuilding Together Houston, Christine Holland. The Second Ward Project, you can go to the website rebuildingtogetherhouston.org/Second Ward.
Rebuilding Houston. rebuildinghouston.org/Second Ward.
rebuildinghouston.org/Second Ward, excuse me. So log into that and you can see what they're doing. Let's talk affordable housing and community revitalization, which is, the cornerstone of Rebuilding Together Houston. What update do you have for us? Because I know that you all have been still repairing homes that were damaged during Harvey. And that has been going on for, about 2 years now, yeah?
Yes. I'd like to talk about Independence Heights.
Yeah.
That is our other major community revitalization project. Rebuilding Together has been working in Independence Heights a long time. Prior to the Super Bowl in 2017, we did a project there where many people from all over the city came out to the neighborhood and worked on houses. That was well before Harvey. Then Harvey hit, and Independence Heights, where we feel like those people are our family. We've spent that much time working there. They were really hit by Harvey. And we were very fortunate that one of our partners, Citgo, wanted to sponsor a specific neighborhood, and they decided that neighborhood would be Independence Heights. Independence Heights has an even older history than the Second Ward. It was the first place in Houston where Black people could own houses, and they weren't part of Houston then. They were their own city, and only later did they become part of Houston. Definitely there are people living in that neighborhood who can trace their family history all the way back to the people that had the first houses there. Again, we're talking about a neighborhood where a lot of the houses are pre-World War II. They've been in the families for a long time, but perhaps the family has not been able to maintain the house. Everyone knows buying a house is a huge expense. But maintaining a house is also very expensive.
Yes.
And, again, we're doing the same thing. We're looking at houses that should be preserved because there's enough good bones in the house, but it needs work. So Harvey, in a way, became a blessing because in addition to foundation and the roof, when we mucked and gutted those houses, or when they were mucked and gutted, we got to really get into the electrical and the plumbing and other things that the house needed. And our goal with Citgo's support has been to repair as much as we possibly can on these houses, return the homeowners to a safe and livable home. So on Harvey overall to date, Rebuilding Together has returned over 300 impacted families all around Houston to a safe and more livable home.
Oh, that's amazing.
And in the hardest hit neighborhoods, that's where we've been working. And 40 more houses are in process. And by the time we're finished with our private funding, which would be first quarter, hopefully, of next year, we hope to have returned 500 families.
Wow.
So it's really exciting.
It is.
We couldn't do it without partners like Citgo, the Greater Houston Community Foundation, which has funded us extensively, AARP, our first $1 million grant very shortly after the storm. American Red Cross has chipped in money to bring more of the houses up to a safe and livable condition. So we were feeling pretty good about our Harvey work and having recently passed that 300 home
Yeah, Mark.
Mark, yeah, to achieve that. And I was really pleased in talking with all my staff and saying, wow, we've got 300.
We did it, right.
And then we had this little incident called Imelda.
Yeah, who took us all by surprise.
Oh, it took everyone by surprise. And the good news about Imelda is that after Hurricane Harvey, Rebuilding Together, Houston Habitat, LISC, Fifth Ward CRC, and Tejano Center, the five of us formed a very, very close collaboration. And we partnered with many other organizations that were doing repair as well.
Yeah, but those are the big wigs in the city.
Those are our close partners. And we got a huge grant from the Greater Houston Community Foundation. And as we were working on the 480 homes that they funded us to repair between the organizations, we really started taking note of what we learned. And the main thing we learned about was mold. But the Harvey recovery because of the flooding was not like any other hurricane that Houston has ever experienced. And the effects of mold can really have incredibly terrible impacts on people's health.
Yes.
So we had to learn about that. We had to learn what the most effective way was to repair a house that needed that level of repair. We taught each other best practices. We shared building materials. And then we've talked a lot about what are we going to do for the next storm. We just didn't think it was going to be
this
soon. We really didn't. But there's a lot that we've learned, and there are more tools available right now for people impacted by Imelda than there were even 6 months after Harvey. Wow. So I want to talk about what a few of those are.
Sure.
We're at a very early stage. We are in the relief stage of disaster recovery. Houston is in the relief stage. And in the relief stage, what needs to happen is we need to make sure flooding victims are immediate safety and that their basic needs are addressed. Rebuilding Together works in the recovery stage. And we're not quite there yet. We're headed to the recovery stage. Okay. So while we're in the relief stage, what we need to find out is how many people were impacted, where do they live, and what happened to them. So we're collecting all of that in one central place so that all of the organizations who are going to help can get their information from one source. So
very smart.
The website is imeldasurvey.com. And it has been set up by the Greater Houston Community Foundation. They manage the money, so it makes sense that they are also going to manage the data. And anybody who has been impacted, and actually it's in surrounding counties as well. It's not only in Houston. If you are impacted by Imelda, information is being collected. And it's a survey. It's not an application. So what they want to know is, were you impacted? What county do you live in? You're going to give them contact information. You're going to tell them what kind of house you have. I believe they're also collecting vehicle information.
Oh, nice.
And the reason for all this is if people who want to help us don't know the extent of the storm, then we're not going to get the help we need. True. So it takes a few minutes to do the survey. I've done it. It's very simple. And what will happen with that survey is when resources become available, the contact information for these folks will be there, and they will be contacted when we start some of the recovery activities, and we'll already know where they are. One of the things that happened in Harvey is a lot of people didn't raise their hand until a year after the storm, and that's so unfortunate because when we start repairing houses more quickly, we don't have to rip the whole house apart. I mean, there's still work to be done, but it's far less costly. If the houses aren't treated quickly, then the mold grows, and it becomes that much more dangerous. So it's really, really important to do that. So back to the cleanup part. Here's the other resource I want to mention. Crisis Cleanup. Their phone number is 800-451-1954, and they are an online database that is used by local faith-based organizations and disaster relief organizations as well. And they will come and do the cleanup for free.
Really?
Yes. People have to own their house.
Okay.
But there's not a financial qualification. It's fairly simple to qualify. If you own your house and you need help, they've got crews that are going to come out. There's a huge push this weekend, for example, and it will continue. But these people will come out and clean your house out, remove trees, fallen trees, things like that, which is very hard to get done. So just anything that they can do. And the faith-based groups in particular are interested in lending their hearts to this work. They're not just there to get a workout. They are there to pray with people, to show they're caring for the community. So I think that's really
that is amazing.
Great.
Can you give that number one more time?
Sure. Crisis Cleanup, 800-451-1954. And then we've got a couple of organizations that have said they will move everybody who goes through crisis cleanup into Imelda survey. But my recommendation is, if you've been impacted, please apply to both of these as fast as you can. The sooner we know the extent of the damage, the easier it is to get funding. And it also may determine whether there's federal funding for this. So far on the Imelda survey, which we're getting an update on every morning, this is through 9/25, 1,254 people have reported their homes have been physically damaged by Imelda. And of those, 907 are in Harris County. But they're getting another 400 or 500 people every day. And as we get the word out, we expect that number to rise.
Wow. Oh, well, of course, because this was she was a sneaker. No one knew that it was going to do the damage that it had done.
Yeah.
So again, people, that is imeldasurvey.com for you to fill that out. And the number for crisis cleanup, 1-800-451-1954.
And also, we are quite sure we're going to be involved in putting people's houses back together.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to donate, that would be rebuildinghouston.org/Imelda.
rebuildinghouston.org/Imelda to donate. And man, we've got a lot of work to be done. I actually thought about you all. It was Friday because I was following up with an email with Joe, and I thought about all of your recovery efforts. And I said, I'm sure that they are swamped after what happened Thursday, or they're going to be swamped once we, assess the damage and everything because of the work that you all do in helping to rebuild a home. How did you all pan out on last Thursday?
None of our staff was impacted other than in commuting, trying to get home from the storm. Also, our office is in the second ward, as I mentioned, which is why we're working in our home neighborhood.
Right.
And it doesn't flood over there. So there were very few houses. I don't know of any houses in second ward that were impacted during Harvey by rising water, but we have identified some that were impacted through their roof or through leaks on the exterior of their houses. And so we have, I think we've done about 11 houses that were Harvey impacted in that neighborhood, but in a different way.
Yeah. Well, hats off to you all. God bless you. Like Houston, let's do what we can to help everyone. And that's the one thing that I absolutely love about this city, that they do come together to help their fellow neighbor. I've been doing radio for quite some time. Houston is my fifth market, and I can honestly say that this is the most, not only are we the most diversity in the nation, but the most caring and forget you, I'm going to do it myself to get it done city that I have lived in. And for that, I love Houston. I absolutely love Houston.
Working hands and warm hearts. That's what we always say.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Christine Holland, the CEO of Rebuilding Together Houston. Go to the website, rebuildinghouston.org/Imelda or rebuildinghouston.org/Second Ward to see all of the great things that they're doing. And that take that Imelda survey if you need to. That is, and I know that this is a lot of information, and we'll have this all on our website, imeldasurvey.com. Fill that out. And for the crisis cleanup, the number there is 1-800-451-1954. And again, if you need more information, just log on to rebuildinghouston.org. Christine, thank you so much for coming on.
We love coming on your show because you really understand what we're talking about. Your heart is there. You ask really insightful questions. So we're happy to come anytime and chat with you.
Well, you know you have an open invitation on here. So thank you. And it's so good to see you.
And you.
And thank you for listening to Access Houston.
We'll be back with more Access Houston on 97.9 The Box.